Okay, so you were probably aware that the Royal Australian Mint make all of the circulating coinage in Australia. But did you know they also made coins for a number of other countries? And today we're taking a look at a very interesting trial piece for New Zealand. Welcome back to Thompson's Coins. My name's Matt Thompson, and we are taking a look today at a very interesting trial piece. This was produced by the Royal Australian Mint for potential use in New Zealand. Now, you've probably never seen one of these coins before, and I'll admit the first one I saw was a number of years ago, and as soon as I saw it, my very first comment was, shouldn't this be in a museum? And there probably are examples of these coins being in museums, but it's also very exciting when you get to have these things in your own personal collection. So let's take a closer look at this one. The coin we're looking at today is a $2 coin, and this was produced to assess the practicalities of a heptagonal coin for circulating currency use. Interestingly, it was not adopted by New Zealand, and I think that makes it even more exciting when you see something that is not only unique but unfamiliar in the context of the currency that we know to exist in New Zealand. And this example was struck on an aluminium bronze blank, and the weight of the coin is just over 6 grams. Now, in terms of the design, on the obverse we have the Raphael McLoof portrait of Queen Elizabeth II with the date underneath the portrait there. We also have the text, Elizabeth II, and New Zealand on the right-hand side. Flipping over to the reverse, we have the RAM initials, which obviously stands for the Royal Australian Mint, and then on both the left and right-hand sides, we have the word test. Then, as the main feature, this is referred to as the Royal Australian Mint coat of arms, and this is something that I'd like to do a little more research on and perhaps speak with someone at the Royal Australian Mint about, because it's not something that I've really seen before, and it's not something that I've seen depicted either on other coins, or it was a number of years ago that I did visit the Royal Australian Mint, but I didn't see any references to this shield or coat of arms. And in terms of the design, I'll get a close-up of the shield for you now so you can take a look at some of the interesting design features they've gone for there. And generally, they'll all be symbolic of various Australian themes and things like that. Bonus points to anyone in the comments who can correctly identify and list all 6 of the images featured in that coat of arms there. Now, the reason I think a coin like this really does belong in a museum is because it really tells the story of 2 countries as well as the evolution of currency. So I think that anything from the Royal Australian Mint, as you can ask any avid collector, anytime there's an error or something with a really limited mintage, they're incredibly popular with collectors. But something that I've always had an interest in is tests and prototypes and things like that, things that were basically never intended to be out there in general collectors' collections. Now, the total production is estimated to be around 500 for this particular coin, and I've got to say, of those 500, I've only seen about, I'd say less than 10 on the market in the past 10 years. That's not to say that I've been actively searching every single time they pop up, but I do often take a mental note anytime I see one of these because they're incredibly interesting, and I think that things like these, like I said earlier, represent an interesting bit of New Zealand history as well as the Royal Australian Mint's history as a mint that has produced currencies for a number of different countries. And now I'll give you just a few examples of some of the other countries that the Royal Australian Mint has made currency for. We have countries such as Papua New Guinea, Tonga, Western Samoa, the Cook Islands, Fiji, Malaysia, Thailand, Nepal, Estonia, Bangladesh, Israel, and the Philippines. Oh, and obviously we also have Australia as well as New Zealand. Also, just another interesting tidbit on this particular coin. If you look around the rim of the coin, you'll notice that there's no presence of reading. Now, reading was originally introduced as a counterfeiting measure. So back in the day when our coins were actually made of precious metals, such as gold and silver, it was not uncommon to see some cheeky operators out there clipping the coins. So they would clip or shave a portion of the edge of a coin and then accumulate those small amounts, and they would end up with a large sum of gold and or silver. So as a result, you ended up with odd-shaped coins out there. People had difficulty identifying and authenticating coins in some instances, and as a result, it was Sir Isaac Newton, who was a mint master of the day, who introduced reading on the edge of coins, predominantly as a counterfeiting measure, but it also serves, if you put your coin in a vending machine or something like that, it allows them to identify the coins easily as well. But given that this was a test, there was no reading necessary. Obviously, as a coin collector, I'm fascinated by the process of the creation of coins and things like that. And this is a great example of a coin that was produced, obviously, to flesh out an idea. You can also see, if you look around carefully, you'll find circular examples of these test coins. And I think this one, in my opinion, is more interesting because it's clearly far removed from anything that you would ordinarily see in New Zealand circulating coinage. So I like seeing things that are a little unusual, and even just to walk past a coin like that, if someone comes into the store, I'm sure they'll see a coin like that and think, I haven't seen that before. And then you look a little closer, the story unfolds, and before you know it, you're actively collecting interesting test coins from the Royal Australian Mint, not just, the modern $1 and $2 coins and 50-cent coins that are being produced in bulk. Now, I'm not sure on the finer details of a coin like this in terms of why it was not accepted into the New Zealand currency system, but it was interesting to note that Australia had sort of had some pretty big issues in terms of the introduction of the 50-cent coin in 1966. So the round 50-cent coin, which we all know and love as a great piece of silver, they were 80% silver. It's about 1/3 of an ounce in total silver content. And they were a flop for two reasons. First and foremost, the silver content was valued at greater than 50 cents shortly after production, so it was not a viable coin to be producing in large quantities. And secondly, it was really similar to the 20-cent coin in terms of the size and diameter. So if you were to look at them side by side and you had any kind of vision impairments, it was very difficult to distinguish the two from one another. And I think a coin like this, a heptagonal coin, would have been a great example of a coin that is sufficiently different to not get confused with other denominations. So for whatever reason, they decided not to go with this particular style. But again, it's very interesting. I love this type of thing, and it's really interesting to see. It's not just an illustration or an idea that was passed around. This is an idea that was actually physically put into production to gather, a little more information as to what the practicalities were like for obviously production, and then also aesthetic, what it would look like in terms of if you put all of the coins together, would it be, suitable in that sense? And obviously it didn't work out. But makes for a very interesting piece of numismatic history. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at a coin that I find to be absolutely fascinating. If you enjoy coin collecting, the greatest hobby in the world, you can check us out online. We're at thompsonscoins.com, or you can come in and visit the Thompsons Coins headquarters. We're conveniently located in the Boronia Mall, which is shop 850 Dorset Square in Boronia. We're not far from the train station, and there's about 1,200 car parks outside, so plenty of options. If you have an interest in purchasing a coin like this, I'll put a link in the description. You can go take a look at it on the website. Also, let me know if you have any ideas for interesting shaped coins that you'd like to see out there in circulation. We already have the dodecagon for the 50-cent piece, which is a 12-sided coin. Obviously, the 7-sided heptagon did not work for the New Zealand $2 coin, but are there any other interesting shapes that you'd like to see on a coin? Let me know in the comments. Alrighty, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.